Hey, thanks for stopping in. My call sign is Blitz, and you're watching the Survival Outpost, where we talk about all things survival related. And in the context of survival, today we're talking about my vehicle survival kit. Not the whole thing, just some upgrades I've made recently, because I've been thinking through some different scenarios in my head, and I realized I really wasn't set up properly, maybe, or the most efficient in being able to handle those situations. So we're going to have a look at those upgrades, and then we're going to talk through some scenarios where I believe this equipment would come in really handy. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's get started with the main attraction. This is the Hulkman 8.5. It is a jump starter, as you can see clearly stated here, and it can jump start up to a 6-liter diesel engine or an 8.5-liter gasoline engine. So what does that mean? That means anything like a vehicle from this size all the way up to this size. It's just basically a giant battery to jumpstart your battery. Coming in at 20,000 milliampere capacity. Now, to compare, your average battery bank that you might use portable as like an everyday carry is going to come in at about 10,000 milliampere hour. So it's a big battery. And from this, now check this out. I thought this was cool. One single charge, you get 60 jump starts. And the battery life on this is really, really nice. I've had this sitting out my vehicle, brought it in a couple times to test it, but over the course of almost 3 months, it has retained a charge very well. It's only dropped down to about 74%. And then, of course, like I'm saying, guys, this is just a big battery bank, so you can use it to charge anything. It's not restricted simply to jump starting your battery. You know, for example, right here, you get a 12-volt, 10-amp port right here for powering any of your 12-volt devices, things like tire inflators and inverters, stuff like that. And then also, of course, back here, you know, you have other ports where you can power whatever, you know, your cell phones, your tablets, your iPad. Now, I will say that I wasn't able to actually test this out in real life with a dead battery because both of my vehicles are functioning. Unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, I guess unfortunately, I did not have this a few months back. I think it was about 6 months ago, and the battery in the SUV went ahead and died. So I had to break out the traditional jumper cables and use those. But if I would have had this, I wouldn't have had to bother with any jumper cables. I wouldn't have had to have another vehicle involved, and I would have just been able to throw this on the battery, hook it up, and get my jump start and be good to go. So that's one of the probably the biggest advantages that I'm seeing here with this, guys, is the fact that you don't need any other vehicle involved. And the price point, I mean, they've really come down a lot since I first started seeing these types of jump starts come out of the market. We're talking $99 on Amazon for the Hulkman. And what else does it do? Okay, I almost forgot to talk about all the different lights. So that's a Hulkman 8.5 jump starter, guys. A link to purchase this is down there in the pinned post. Amazon link, affiliate link. When you do that, you support my channel, which I appreciate very much. Now, let's go ahead and move on to the next item in the vehicle survival kit, and that is road flares. Up next, we're going to talk about road flares, guys, and speaking of Amazon, you can actually buy these on Amazon. I was surprised. Now, they may not be the same level of quality in terms of intensity and burn time that military flares are, but still, I think they get the job done, because the primary goal here, guys, is to be able to mark an area of an accident so other vehicles are alerted to that and can avoid the accident. So maybe my car broke down the road, maybe there's an obstacle on the road, I can put out some flares in combination to some of those reflective triangles that I have and be good to go. So that's the number one use for the road flares. Going beyond that, though, obviously they can be used as a signal item. So imagine a situation where you are stranded in the wilderness and you need to signal for help. You pop up one of these flares and people can hopefully see you and rescue you. Or maybe you're super cool, badass ninja tactical guy, and you're in the middle of an operation, you get to the LZ and you pop your flare and a helicopter comes and picks you up. I don't know. I don't do those types of things, but it sounds cool in theory. But what else could you use this for? Well, we've seen in 2020 that people like to use flares as weapons. So there's that. Use your flare as a weapon. but don't do that. I'm hypothetically saying that, okay? I've had a few people trying to get on me saying I'm suggesting illegal things. Listen, hopefully you have some level of common sense and you don't just listen to what people talk about on YouTube and implement it in real life. So obviously don't shoot anybody with the flare in real life, but we have seen these used for weapons. Now, what else can they be used for? And you might be screaming at the screen right now saying, Blitz, of course, it can be used as part of your perimeter security. Absolutely they can, because with this, you go ahead and set up a tripwire flare, and when somebody breaches your perimeter, this thing goes off, and you automatically already might have a kill zone set up with weapons trained out of the area, and you know how things go from there. That being said, there is a less, I guess you might say, obvious way or expensive way to set up your own tripwire flares, and that is using chem sticks. And you can use something bright like an orange or a red. I'm trying to remember which chem stick burns brighter, but that can be also used as a viable perimeter security if you don't want to pop one of these every single time somebody breaches your perimeter. I'm sure your neighbors want to appreciate it. So that being said, guys, those are the flares. I got 3 of them here. And I'd like to hear some commentary because I really don't have much experience with road flares. Think about maybe some other uses for road flares, and then of course a link to purchase the road flares is right down there in the pinned post because they're for sale on Amazon. Who knew? So that's pretty cool. Now moving on to the next item here, and that is the good old Molly seat back panel. I'm a little late to this game, but at least I'm getting involved, right? So let's go ahead and have a look at that. So now the last item, but definitely not least, this is my first go at setting up a Molly seat back panel. Now I know people have been doing this for a long time, but every implementation I had seen or recall seeing was done in like the tactical sense. And I'm not, you know, some super like high speed, low drag operator, guys. That's not me. I'm just a dirty, nasty civilian. So I never really could see a practical application for me until recently. I was on Amazon and I saw this seat back panel package for sale. It's 20 bucks and you get 2 pouches. So I really couldn't turn it down. Figured, well, what the hell, 20 bucks, I'll see what I can do and set up. So this is what I got going on here. Let's have a look at it. So first thing you're gonna see here is the radio. Now why the radio? Well, because it's great to be able to communicate vehicle to vehicle. I'm gonna put it back here because I don't need hands on it at all times. And it's also good to be able to have available so you can listen to emergency bands and, you know, things like fire, police, EMS, and things of that nature. You get weather reports on there, and you also have FM radio. So having that mounted on the back of the seat seemed like a good idea. Now let's go ahead and move on and check out the pouches. Now this top pouch, guys, there's really nothing fancy in here at all except some eye wash, an eye wash cup that makes washing out the eyes not a like super difficult thing. It really kind of directs the stream, which is pretty nice. I've used this on my son for 2 instances where he got some stuff stuck in his eye, some sawdust at the park, and then forget what happened last time. And then I also have a 4-pack of Stacker 2 fat burners, which are basically about 1,200 milligrams of caffeine and a bunch of other crap that will keep you up for a long time. So just threw that in there in that pouch. Maybe I change that up a little bit in the future. But where I really put a lot of attention and effort is here on the medical side. When I think about medical, I wanted to think along the lines of day-to-day use. I'm not in gun battles. I don't, I don't get in knife fights and things like that. And I'm not in areas where I might encounter those types of things, okay? So with this medical kit, I wanted to deal with every type of conceivable injury in terms of bleeding and that related trauma that I've experienced in my lifetime. So I've experienced a lot of pretty bad bleeding accidents, okay? Let's put it that way, from puncture wounds on my arm to lots of damage to my legs from mountain bike riding with lots and lots of bleeding. And then, of course, all the little cuts and scrapes and tears and burns. So I wanted the medical kit to cover everything from the little stuff all the way up to the big stuff that was not a gunshot wound or requiring a tourniquet. So that's kind of the direction that I was thinking in there. So we're talking everything from Band-Aids to combine pads to gauze pads to Steri-Strips, burn cream, Neosporin, and pretty much everything in between. And then also I have a tactical military bandage down here as well. So I think in a broad scope that kind of covers me for all the first aid incidents I might run into in my day-to-day life. Ideally, I would have another pouch on here that would be a dedicated trauma kit that would actually be a Velcro tearaway so I could access it really quick, because if I'm having to grab something like that, it's probably an emergency situation. Now let's go ahead and look at these pockets down here. Now that one pocket I just showed you directly under the medical pouch has that military bandage in it the larger middle pouch right here, I have a whole bunch of disposable face masks. I also have this really nice, super thick padded face mask here from Super S. And they had made these right about the time the epidemic came out. I bought 2 of them, and to be quite honest with you, I've used these as pod holders, but I really haven't used them that much as masks. But they're definitely capable in that that field for sure. And then underneath it, I also have some biodegradable wet wipes, the Surviveware wipes. I've got a pack of these here. Listen, guys, even if you don't have kids, having some wet wipes on hand is always a good idea. I don't care who the hell you are. So that's what I got here in the middle pocket, and then this pocket on the end. We gotta have a little talk about RZ mask. So yeah, this whole RZ mask thing didn't work out for me that well. If you remember, if you were paying attention to the channel back in the day, whenever it was, it feels like eons ago, earlier this year, I did a video about my pandemic EDC, and I had a brand new RZ mask, and it looked like it was gonna be a really good fit for me. Turned out to be a complete piece of crap. I used it over the course of about 6 months, and it kind of just fell apart, and I was not very happy with the quality control or production on the RZ mask. So I tossed it, and honestly guys, with the whole mask thing, I just kind of like started using some common sense. I realized one day I was trying to hit max reps on my bench, and I had this mask on, I could barely breathe, and I thought, you know what, this is retarded. If you're gonna die, at least die with dignity, not without a stupid mask on, okay? So I still wear the mask, but only in like high traffic areas. That being said, that rant was over, whatever the case is. I still use in the bag. I threw a P100 mask in here, and when it comes to mask, N95, 95% of bad things, and P100, 100% of all bad things. So this is a really good mask, and then I threw some black gloves in there as well, just in case I gotta go all sterile again, like the way I was thinking in my mindset was when COVID first hit, that there was literally a giant coronavirus lurking around the corner ready to kill me at any moment. So that's how I'm thinking through scenarios and, you know, filling in the gaps in my gear and trying to think about what I don't have and what might actually come in useful on a regular basis. So keeping all that in mind, that's kind of how I put this together, because I try to be intentional and precise about the gear that I pack. That goes from bug out bags to vehicle survival gear. I just don't want to just think like, maybe I might need this, maybe I might need this, and just randomly throw a bunch of shit in there, because that takes away from me being able to find what I really need in an actual emergency situation. So with that being said, guys, I appreciate you watching. Hit that sub button if you like this content. Everything that you need to know, especially looking at that Hulkman 8.5 battery charger. Links to this, links to the seat back panel, which is $20 on Amazon. Yeah, I know it's made in a Chicom sweat factory, whatever, slave labor. It works out for me right now because I'm broke. So with that being said, guys, oh yeah, also road flares linked up down there in the pinned post. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Hey, you still there? Cool. Then don't forget to check out our website located on the interwebs at thesurvivaloutpost.com. We are designed and optimized for hard use, for the self-reliant who talk less and hustle more. Thanks to our international connections, you get first access to unique and innovative products from around the world. This is the gear that will give you that edge you need in a survival situation, or if you're just trying to keep the lights on when the power goes out. Any content mentioned in this video is linked up down there in the pinned post, and be sure to watch the suggested videos for more real-world survival training and knowledge.